Welcome back. Finally, let's create the footer. As you can see, the footer has two parts, the upper part and the lower part, separated by this horizontal line. The upper part has 4 columns, which contains links, and the lower part has this copyright and these social icons. So let's get to work and create them. As usual, I have the content copied to the clipboard, so I will paste. And let's quickly rush through the selectors. Most of them you already know. So we have the FL core and row PD, and so this is the unique selector here, footer. And that footer is divided into two parts. The upper part there is the footer category, and the lower part is footer menu. Okay, within the footer category, you have footer category item, which represent each of the columns. We have 4 of them. That's 1, that's 2, 3, and 4. Now, if I get inside each of the category item, I have a heading 4 and a UL. But for the last one, I have a heading 4, a paragraph, and an input feed. All right, so let's tackle them one after the other. But this time around, this is a footer. This is not part of the regular page content. So in our 7-in-1 architecture, what do you think we should place the footer? Well, the footer usually is placed in layout. And as a matter of fact, we already have it created. That's the file for it in one of the previous lessons. So all we need to do now is to open it. So here I have footer, and that footer has a background color of color primary, and I'm going to give it a padding bottom of 0. And the reason I'm doing this is because if you look at the HTML, it has the row PD utility class applied to it, and that utility class has a padding top and bottom of 10 rem. So I don't want the bottom part of it, so I'm overriding that here. All right, and that should be it for now. So the next thing is get into the category, and if I hover over it, see it's correct. So what do I do now? I want to give it a padding bottom of about 3 rems and give it a border of 1 pixel, 1 pixel solid, and say color tertiary. And inside that category, with the way I name the selector here, item, I can easily nest inside this category to get item without having to write it separately. So I can just say dash item, and if I hover on it, that's correct. So I can say width. Since they are 4, I want to give them a width of 25% each, and so that means there won't be space in between. Of course, I could have also added this 25% to the list of utility classes I have for with the different widths, but you see 25% is not here, but you can add it. As a matter of fact, you can tweak that utility class to include as many things as you know will generally apply to most of the projects you do, or generally to website design. So here I can have padding 1 rem all around, so they don't touch the border. And inside the item, I have the heading and the LIs, okay, inside which I have the footer link. So let me target them here inside that item. So I can target the heading sub, I can target the footer link, and give them a color of white. Okay, that's the footer link, and this is the heading sub. I want them to have a color white. Let me save this file and preview what we have so far. If I go in here now and refresh, good. So I have that in place already, but okay, this was supposed to be border bottom, not all round border. So let me quickly fix that. Okay, this is supposed to be border bottom. All right, now that I have done this, if you look at the finished version, the headings are bigger in size, so let's take care of that. So I can now target the headings separately again, heading sub, and give it a bigger font size. So I'll say font size, let me give it 3.5 rem, and the text transform uppercase. If you look at that, you see it capital letter. And let me give it a padding so it's not too close to the links item there, the links. 1 rem up and down and 0. If I check that now, refresh, oh, then the font size is too big. So I guess what do we do? Okay, I guess it's still too big compared to the finished version. All right, so that's out of the place now. So let's focus on this last item, and that is here. That's here. So again, I have to target pmain here and give it a text color of white first. So I just need to say pmain and set its color to white, color white. Okay. Can give it a margin bottom. Good. Now, so I can now target the form. Don't forget that the form can also be a reusable piece, because I may have multiple places where I use form. And what are the elements of a form? Input field, submit, and so on. And I might want this same consistent design across all of the places where I use them. So it means that form in a website is a typical reusable component. So in our 7-in-1 architecture, where do we place it? Of course, I've told you that the basis of the 7-in-1 is not about where you put what in, but the modularity that it helps you to achieve. So one developer might consider that the component folder is the best place for it, while another one think, okay, it's better in the layout and so on. So for me, I'm going to have it in the layout. Okay, but of course you can put it in component. It doesn't really matter. So here I'm going to create a new file, and I'll call it form.scss. And this form, if you look at it, see it has a class of sub in the paragraph, all right? And of course, I want it to have a display of flex, because I have the input feed and I have the button, and I want them to stay side by side. As you can see in the finished version, side by side. Okay, I don't want the button to come beneath it. So in that case, it means that I will set a display to flex and sub display to flex, and I want to justify the content, center, align item. So they say center vertically also. So they are center horizontally and vertically. I want a padding, 2 rem up and down, and 0, left and right. And for the input, and if you look at that, we have the sub input. And if I hover on it, sub input. And so what would you have for that? I want it to have a width of 100%. I want it to have a height of say 4 rem. I want to give it a border radius of 2 rem. And I want a background color of color white. And for the summit, I have a background color of the secondary color there. I don't want a border, so set the border to none. I want to give it a width of say 15%. And say color white, color of text there, white. Let me set this display to flex and have it justify content center. Now since the border is rounded, let me have a border radius 2 rem, and for it to match up with the input, I also have to set a height of 4 rem for it. Okay, so we set a height of 4 rem for the input, and the button also have to be of the same height. Let me give it a font weight of bold, and now I want to have a margin left of a negative value, so it moves towards the input. Naturally now it's going to be after the input, because we set displace to flex, and flex direction is going to be row. By that, it's going to make it stay away from the input, but I want it to move towards the input, so it has to be negative value. Let's say 15%. We'll be setting it as we go. Maybe say 10. Now let's see what we have there. Is the finished version now. And if I refresh, oh, I see the usual mistake. I've not added the form that I just created, and again I need to say consistent with my naming pattern. So let me put underscore. So I have to import it here, and that's layout. So I'm getting lazy. Let me just copy this and paste, and just change this one to form, like so. So if I preview now, it should be ready. There you go. The arrow inside saying top. That's the cement. Okay, so guess I have to do align item to also be center here. I think I can still move it inside a bit. Yeah, I think that 10 is small. Let's say 12. Still not. Let's say 15. Is it really moving at all? Let me give a bigger value to see whether it's actually moving or not. Let's say 35%. Okay, it's moving. It's actually moving. And let me reduce the height a bit. It does appear as if now if I look at the border radius I set here, it's 2 rem. So what's the border radius I set here? 2 rem 2. Okay. Let me say 18. But I'm going to change the border radius here to 1.8. It does appear as if it's a little taller than the input. Okay, but 18 is not too much. Let me do 17, or let me do 16. Oh yeah, it's almost there. I guess the 15 will be okay. Okay, yeah. And I can make the font size in that place a bit bigger. So if I give it 2 rem, let's see what we have. Good. And give it a font weight of bold. Okay. So that's the day about that. So of course, there are a lot I can do to this form or this input. I can go as crazy as I want, give it several effects, but of course, that's not the basis of this course, you know. So now the next thing to do is the lower part of the footer. In the finished version, these ones are at the right and this is at the left. Right now, the display is already set to flex. That's why you see them side by side. Okay, so let's go back to, I guess, our footer. This time around, we're done with this category. Now we need to now get to menu. And if you look at that, in the input, in the HTML, this is the footer menu that contains the copyright and the social icon. So I will have a padding of 2 rem up and down, and I want the content to be justified, space between, so that The second one will fly to the end of. Good. So that's done. Within that place, I have the copyright. Let me check that to be sure I'm correct. Okay, but it's actually not nested inside footer. It's inside footer menu. So if I place my cursor on it now, you see that this selector is wrong. So take it out. That's not where I want to put it. It should be outside of the menu. So what do I want there? I want color of text there to be a color tertiary. Color. Okay. And of course the terms should also have color tertiary. So I can just reach that by saying term, color, color tertiary, and give it a save. Let's check that. It's not applied. What's happening there? Term. Or they're actually inside the p main. So I can get there by say p main. Oh, I see. It's terms, not term. So what I need to do is to, what's the selector? Is terms. So to also have that link, have a color of white. Let's check what it's called here. Okay, they're called terms. So I just need to say terms and set the color to tertiary. Like so. This way, we should have those links, these two, turn white. Let me refresh. There we go. Let's check the finished version to see if there's any difference. Okay. The font size is smaller, and this is how it is actually much more beautiful compared to the finished version. The finished version is of course okay too. They say one or two more tweaks to make. So I want to italize the text. Okay. So it stays out a bit. And I say text. Oh, is that font style, not text? Font style is italics. Good. I prefer that way. Now we are left with this. And that's the footer social. Let me be sure. Yeah, footer social. And there I have these three. So we already have FL rule and SM rule. So what do we need to do? In that place, I have those images. Don't forget that those icons are images, not the social icons. They are all images. Okay, so I can target them, and all I just need to do is to get to social link. Okay, where I can actually get to it like this, or to be a little more specific, I can do social link, so we don't run into the risk of conflict. And I set a width of 3 rem. They already circle in shape, so they won't be needed for border radius. Height of 3 rem, like so. There you go. So anyway, we get that done, but they are jammed together. If we look at our finished version, they are spaced. So let's fix that. Now, what I need to do is to apply a margin, but where do I apply it? Left or right? Of course, it should be left, because if I apply to right, the last one will give a space that will make that side not align with the right side of the rest of the sections. So I will say margin left, say 1 rem. Good. And this way, we fix the footer. And this way, and by doing this, and by this, we finish the footer and the entire page content. The next thing we're going to do now is to tweak our design for responsiveness. And we'll start that from the next lesson.